Welcome to Wallace on Wire. Today we're talking about the proposed Urban Renewal Act. Now, this is a piece of legislation that certainly generated significant discussion and, frankly, a lot of questions, too.
Absolutely. It's not just about putting up new buildings, is it?
No, exactly. It goes deeper. It's really about reshaping communities, how we actually live in our cities. So we'll try to unpack what this act really entails.
And look at the different viewpoints because they are quite distinct.
Right. From the Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, all the way to the leader of the opposition. Let's start with the Prime Minister. He's been very vocal, a strong proponent of this act.
He has.
And from his perspective, the core objective, well, it seems less about just construction and more about genuinely trying to uplift and, importantly, protect urban Malay communities. He really believes it's crucial to ensure these communities get better, more suitable living conditions, moving away from what he specifically calls poor living situations.
Yeah, that phrase poor living comes up quite a bit. It's clearly a driving force for him. It feels like it's about dignity, not just infrastructure.
That's a good way to put it. Dignity and maybe equitable progress.
Indeed. And, you can almost hear the conviction when he talks about it. He's been pretty candid, actually, admitting the bill might not be perfect.
He did say that, didn't he? Open to adjustments.
Explicitly. But he stresses that the fundamental aim, his core belief, is to stop a situation where certain communities just get left behind in rundown environments.
Right.
He actually said, and the sentiment was clear, I'm not saying this bill is perfect, we can adjust it, but don't say it's suppressing Malays. Which I think really underscores that intention safeguard, not suppress.
It does. It frames it as correcting what he perhaps sees as historical imbalances in how our cities have developed.
Precisely.
And he used that specific example, almost like a warning, Penang's Tanjung Tokong.
Yes, that came up.
He pointed out how there, a small number of families objecting to development basically led to really prolonged substandard living conditions for the wider Malay community.
For years, wasn't it? Until the government finally had to step in.
Exactly. Forced government intervention for reconstruction. So he seems to view this act as a way to be proactive, to avoid those kinds of drawn-out delays in really necessary urban development.
Delays which, let's face it, can often get stalled by just a few objections, even if the majority might stand to benefit. It's an argument for efficiency, you could say.
Definitely an argument for efficiency.
And what's also quite telling is how he connects it to the past, his own history.
You mean his earlier work?
Yeah, he recalls efforts from decades ago, mentioning places like Kampung Kerinci and Awanza Maju, securing significant funding back then to improve living conditions.
So he sees this as a continuation.
Very much so. He frames this act as directly picking up that commitment, aiming to bridge what he actually called a 20-year gap in urban development, specifically for these communities.
A 20-year gap, that's quite a statement.
It is. And his argument is quite stark. We can't, boast about landmarks like the Petronas Twin Towers on one hand.
And then have people living in dilapidated houses nearby.
Exactly. The contrast is just unacceptable in his view. But importantly, he also gives assurances.
About compensation and rights.
Yes, that the legitimate rights and reasonable compensation for anyone who disagrees, those will be fully protected. He's aiming for that balance, it seems, progress, but also individual fairness.
Okay, so that's the Prime Minister's vision. It's rooted in, well, urgency and this sense of historical commitment.
Offensive mission, almost.
Right. Now, let's pivot. Let's look at the other side of this conversation. The leader of the opposition in Parliament, Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainudin. He offers a, let's say, rather different take.
Definitely different tone. It's not an outright no, not a complete rejection.
No, it isn't. It's more a call for, well, caution, and for a much more meticulous review process.
Thoroughness over speed, perhaps.
That sums it up well. His main demand, essentially, is to hit pause on the bill's second reading.
He wants it sent to a special select committee, doesn't he? For a deeper dive.
Exactly. For more scrutiny. And his concerns are very specific, very practical.
They seem grounded in the potential impact on residents.
Yes. For instance, he argues that these proposed consent thresholds, the percentage of current owners needed to approve a redevelopment.
The level of agreement needed.
Right. He thinks they're unrealistic. And this isn't just a numbers game for him. He's worried it could really mess with residents' loan tenure.
How so?
Well, potentially making it harder to get financing for the new properties, or even affecting their long-term occupancy rights.
Hmm.
If the bar for agreement is too low, some owners might feel forced to sell.
Which could impact their whole financial situation, obviously. That's a serious point.
It is. And he also flags a big operational risk. What if developers delay handing over the completed properties?
The practicalities. That
Yeah.
could easily lead to disputes, couldn't it?
A whole cascade of them, potentially, complicating the entire process, maybe even leaving residents stuck in limbo. It adds another layer of uncertainty.
Definitely.
And then he zeroes in on something even broader, a really critical societal point. The socioeconomic disparities that already exist in our cities.
Which are undeniable.
Absolutely. Hamzah Zainudin feels that if these fundamental inequalities aren't properly tackled within the act itself,
Then the act might not achieve its goal.
worse, he suggests it could actually work against the intention of helping communities. It could potentially deepen those existing divides.
So making things worse for the very people it's meant to help? Maybe pushing vulnerable groups out of these revitalized areas if they become unaffordable.
That seems to be the concern. It's a stark reminder, isn't it? Development isn't just bricks and mortar. It's about people, their lives, their ability to actually thrive in these new environments.
Absolutely critical point. So his position essentially is conditional support.
Right. He's saying, look, if these major worries, the consent thresholds, the developer delay risks, and this fundamental issue of socioeconomic disparity, if these are thoroughly looked at and genuinely resolved by a proper committee,
Then the opposition could get behind it.
then they'd be willing to support the bill. So it's not just blocking for the sake of it. It reads more like a demand for really robust, well-thought-out legislation.
Legislation that anticipates problems, tries to mitigate them upfront, a bill that serves everyone without creating new issues.
Exactly. So what we end up with here are two quite powerful but very different approaches, both aiming ostensibly for the same goal: urban improvement.
But getting there via different routes.
On one side, the Prime Minister stressing urgency, the need to protect vulnerable communities now from prolonged poor conditions, streamline things, push forward, get it done, focus on the collective good.
Rapid transformation.
And on the other side, the opposition leader highlighting all the potential bumps in the road, advocating for caution, a more comprehensive approach, making sure individual rights, financial stability, the complex economic realities.
We're all carefully weighed and protected.
It's that classic tension, isn't it? Balancing large-scale development efficiency with individual choice and social equity.
It really is. And both sides, you have to say, raise valid points about just how complex urban renewal is, especially in a place like Malaysia. It shows how tricky it is to get this kind of big legislation right.
It really does. It makes you think, where should the main emphasis lie? Is it the speed of lifting the collective, or the careful protection of every individual situation and the socioeconomic fabric? What do you think is the most crucial thing to get right in a law like this?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It certainly is. Thank you for joining us today on Wallace on Wire for this discussion.
Thank you.
Remember to like and subscribe for more insights like this.